Hey folks, this is Riker with a gaming news wrap-up video in which we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include Blizzard expressing that they've learned a huge number of lessons from the Diablo Immortal reveal, the US government crackdown on loot boxes moving forward, a possible new Game of Thrones game, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the video description below. But right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted of new Saturday episodes. Now before we go on, I'd like to take a minute for a word from this video's sponsor. Now I know you folks all have phones, and Old School RuneScape is back and now available on mobile. You can download it on most Android and iOS devices. But here's the kicker. It is completely cross-platform between your PC and your mobile device. So you can be playing on your PC and then you swap over to your phone and pick up exactly where you left off. So you're at work, you're on your lunch break, you pop open your phone and you go mine some granite real quick, or you go slaying or PKing. Then when you come home that night, you go on a raid with your friends or you go bossing. Having it on mobile allows you to stay connected to the game even when you're away from your computer. Old School RuneScape is my cousin's favorite game. He was so psyched to learn it was coming to mobile. And for returning players, there's new features now. We got map expansions. We've got new raid bosses like the Chambers of Xeric and the Theater of Blood, and more. And if you want to sign up for a new account for Old School RuneScape, you can redeem a 7-day free membership trial. You can find a link to sign up for free in the video description below. Alright, in our first bit of news here, we'll actually cover a little bit of Dungeons & Dragons news. D&D recently held a huge, massive livestream event that peaked at over 50,000 concurrent viewers. And during this, they revealed a new adventure, Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. Set to release September 17th, this adventure will take players from the iconic Baldur's Gate setting down into the first layer of the 9 Hells. More details can be found in the links in the video description. But in other D&D news, Critical Role's Matt Mercer DM'd a game for none other than Stephen Colbert. Now, if you don't know Matt Mercer from Critical Role, then you've certainly heard him as the voice of McCree. He is a talented voice actor who's done a number of characters over the years. And you can go and watch the video of these two playing D&D together, and Stephen Colbert was a huge fan of D&D in his teens, but he hadn't touched the game since then. And to just see his face light up with joy as he's playing with Matt here, to see him recapture and rediscover something he held so dear. I'm just thrilled that D&D has had this resurgence. It's more popular today than it has been in at least 20, if not 30 years. As some of you know, D&D is my favorite hobby, and I hope to have some D&D content to share with you folks in the near future. Alright, on to loot boxes. Now in the US, a bill had been put forth to ban the sale of loot boxes in video games aimed at minors. The latest news is that this bill now has the support of both major parties. This is a huge leap forward in this bill becoming a reality, in becoming law. Now to clarify, this bill does not ban all microtransactions. It's specifically targeting loot boxes and pay-to-win microtransactions. Now, it defines loot boxes as effectively any form of randomized reward that you can purchase. That would presumably include card packs. And when it defines pay-to-win, it excludes cosmetics, increased difficulty settings, and additional game content. It specifically points to things that you can purchase that would make it easier to progress through the game, things that would help you accomplish an achievement in the game, or help you in receiving an award in the game, or to bypass timers. Now there's pros and cons here. I think most of us would be happy to see these bad anti-consumer business practices go away. But once you start getting the government involved, then that leads to the slippery slope. What are they going to try to do next? Sure, maybe today it's removing loot boxes, but what will be the next thing they tried to control in video games? And will we be cheering for the next thing? This really is that Alien versus Predator scenario where whoever wins, we lose. And maybe, just maybe, if big AAA developers hadn't pushed these predatory microtransaction practices, things wouldn't have come to this. But no, there's no end to corporate greed. They had to see, how far can they push us? How far can they push their monetization schemes until we finally crack? In other news, there may be a new Game of Thrones game in the works. Now, without spoilers, I was disappointed in Season 8 of Game of Thrones, and not because the story didn't go the way I wanted it to go, but overall I still consider myself a fan of the series. Recently, George R.R. Martin posted on his blog, stating among many other things, that he's consulted on a video game out of Japan. Now, out of all the Game of Thrones games that we currently know of, none have come from Japan. This suggests that he consulted on a game that has yet to be revealed. So this blog post has actually stirred up old rumors that George R.R. Martin was working with From Software and Hidetaka Miyazaki, the creator of Dark Souls, to work on a game. This game has allegedly been in development for 3 years and is an open-world medieval-type game. And, allegedly again, it'll be revealed at E3 2019, so we won't have to wait too much longer to find out if this is true or not. On to some Overwatch news. The Anniversary event is live. There's tons of new cool skins to get, and damn, this Winston Gargoyle skin? I thought Winston was not allowed to get the best skins in the game. Overwatch also revealed that they are introducing a replay system. Now, when I played StarCraft 2, I found the replay system invaluable to being able to study, learn from my mistakes, see what better players are doing, so I think this is a tremendous addition to the game. On to some World of Warcraft news. WoW Classic is releasing August 27th, and people are immensely hyped. You can opt in to the beta, and they had a stress test happen this week, and the servers were real stressed. There were huge queues to log in, but it seems either people are forgetting the vanilla WoW days or have never experienced them, because apparently there have been so many bug reports for things that are not bugs but features of old WoW that Blizzard had to put up a forum post of the WoW Classic Not a Bug list. You can peruse this for yourself, but it includes things like the Tauren's hitboxes and their melee reach being slightly larger than other races, creature respawn rates being much slower than in Battle for Azeroth, lots of quality of life things related to quest markers. Welcome to Vanilla WoW. On to action RPG news, starting with Pagan Online. 2-player co-op has now been added into the game, with 4-player co-op coming in the future. Co-op is currently available in Assassinations and Missions and will be coming to the campaign very soon. On to Path of Exile news. The new League, Legion, was revealed this week, and it's looking like it's going to be a lot of fun. Here's the League mechanic. As you're playing regularly, you'll run into monoliths. Click a monolith, and then rival armies will appear frozen in time around you. And then you have a limited amount of time to click on monsters within these armies. The monsters that you tag will unfreeze, and then you have to fight them. And the more difficult monsters will drop better rewards. Some of these rewards include splinters specific to their army. If you get enough splinters from one army, you can form them together to create an emblem of that army. Get 2 or more emblems from different armies, and you can pop them into an upgraded map device and open a portal to the domain of timeless conflict and face off against the armies. It seems like a simpler, more fun League. I'm looking forward to it. And this patch will also include a game-wide overhaul of melee combat. And with it, Path of Exile is now introducing animation canceling. If you know what this is, you're happy. If you don't, well, what is animation canceling? When you perform an attack, an animation plays. If you're swinging your axe, you see your character wind up and swing down. At some point during that animation, you deal your damage, somewhere between the beginning and the end of that animation sequence. With animation canceling, you're able to interrupt the animation at any point, but you would want to use this to your advantage to interrupt the animation immediately after you deal your damage, rather than let the animation finish playing out. This allows you to do other things with that short amount of time, such as reposition. And in PoE, you'll now be able to animation cancel by activating a different skill, like a movement skill. PoE Legion will launch on June 7th. On to some Warhammer Chaosbane news. People for a while were wondering, hey, what's going on? This game is coming close to release. We haven't heard anything about Endgame. Well, the devs have now hopped onto Reddit with an update on Endgame and Season Pass info. So purchasing a Season Pass will give you access to things like cosmetic pets, cosmetic emotes, an alternative god skill tree for each character. These are basically new ways to build your character, as well as an entire new act to the game, new location, new enemies, new story. They also detailed their 3 endgame modes. There's Boss Rush, which allows you to farm certain pieces of gear by tackling bosses you've already defeated. Expedition Mode, which sounds like maps or rifts. The unique twist here is that you'll also come across a number of random events when on an expedition that increase your chances at rewards but may make things more difficult. And then there's Relic Hunt Mode, which has big rewards but impose a number of challenging conditions, such as random poison zones appear across the map, or you lose health whenever you stop moving, or every time you use a potion, your max health is decreased throughout the rest of the dungeon. It'll be interesting to see how these play out. On to some Diablo news. In a recent interview with IGN, Blizzard Entertainment President J. Allen Brack explained that the company learned, quote, a huge number of lessons from the reaction to Diablo Immortal at BlizzCon. He said, quote, I think that one of the things that we failed to do was to really help articulate that we are a PC gaming company and that we're going to continue to be a PC gaming company. It doesn't make sense to me or really anyone at Blizzard that we would just say, oh, let's stop working on PC games, there's no future in them. That's not our view at all. Brack went on to explain that their mistake was basically taking for granted that everyone understood that implicitly. Now, I think this is possibly the first time that Blizzard has really addressed the public reaction to Immortal, or at least the first time they've come up with a mea culpa about it. I think at the end of the day, he is nailing the primary issue here. The negative response to Diablo Immortal, in my opinion, was caused because of the perception that this suggests we're heading in a mobile direction, we're leaving PC by the wayside, or PC is otherwise not as important to me, or Diablo is going to become a mobile franchise. And really, the way everything was presented gives this impression. Nothing for PC Diablo was presented at BlizzCon. The only thing that they had to talk about on stage about Diablo was Diablo Immortal. Off stage, community manager Nevelistus spoke to me saying, yes, there will be more stuff coming to Diablo 3, but by this point the damage was done. It's about what overall impression was given. Had they revealed Diablo 4 and Diablo Immortal, there would not have been an uproar. Had they done everything exactly the same way, but then at the end of the Diablo section just put up a 10-second cinematic with the number 4 on it, people probably wouldn't have been upset. But in my opinion, that's not the only thing that Blizzard could have done to make people less upset about Immortal. And one of them is highlighted in a separate interview that Brack did with Forbes. The interviewer asked, for NetEase in particular, some fans have expressed worry that it'll take a multitude of microtransactions to level a character, which is not necessarily in keeping with the core Blizzard ethos when it comes to in-game purchases. Are there steps that you're taking as you work through that partnership to make sure that the Blizzard values are maintained, that the product is something you'll be proud of? Brack goes on to describe why NetEase is a good partner, then talks a little bit about Wyatt Cheng, saying he is the person who did the announcement for Diablo Immortal, and he was one of the top system designers on Diablo 3 and Reaper of Souls. He also worked on WoW encounters before that. So he's been a Blizzard designer for more than 10 years, probably almost 15, deeply involved with the Diablo universe. How are we going to make sure this is a Blizzard game? By making it a Blizzard game. How are we going to make sure that it monetizes and has the right Blizzard values? By making sure it has the right Blizzard values in our monetization. It's going to have our name on it. Now here's the thing. The pay-to-win question has been asked since BlizzCon, is still being asked, and Blizzard still will not give a concrete answer. All they keep saying is basically look to our past, look at our reputation, look at the other games we make, look at our values. For whatever reason, they've decided they cannot give any form of concrete answer to this question. And I understand not revealing the monetization model. And I can understand that if they feel they have to start saying all the things that it won't be, that we start basically revealing what it will be. But this one very specific question is a very important issue. And the way they're answering it is making people who thought Blizzard would never do pay to win start to pause and reflect, it sounds like they're considering pay to win. Look at CD Projekt Red, for instance. They'll throw out these one-liners every so often saying, we'll never do pay to win in this game, or this game will not launch as an exclusive to any platform. And it's just like slam dunks every time. People cheer anytime CD Projekt Red comes up with one of these statements. People eat that stuff up. Does Blizzard have an allergy to good press? It would be so easy to just say, we're not going to make it pay to win. Stop skirting around the issue. If you don't want to speak specifically to Immortal, then at least just laugh off the question and say, if you look at our track record, you know that we would not include pay-to-win elements. This way you're not making a concrete statement about the game, but more about pay-to-win in general. Be bold. Make a bold statement. If you believe strongly in something, if it is part of your core values, why can't you express it explicitly? This is an easy win. The defensemen are out of position. You've got the ball right in front of the net. Stop dribbling and make the goal. But hey, what do I know? And that's going to wrap up this video. But do be sure to have checked out our previous news video in which we discuss why I believe that Diablo 4 will be revealed this BlizzCon. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rikers Raiders for more gaming content.